Good afternoon, everyone, Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to our event. Celebrate the photographic work of nail technicians in Toronto. My name is Jackie Liang. I'm a nail technician and a community health worker. I was one of the main organizers of this PhotoVoice project. Our Nail Technicians Network is an initiative of the Parkview Queen West Community Health Center and the Chinese and Southeast Asian Legal Clinic. Right now, I would like to invite Angela Robson, the Executive Director of the Parkview Queen West Community Health Center, to say a few words on behalf of our organization. Yeah, Erica.
So quick. I was expecting Jackie to continue on a little bit more. It is an absolute pleasure to be here on campus. Many of you, this is the first time you have been able to gather face to face with others who are not your immediate family members in a moment of communion, community sharing, and this is a wonderful gathering to have that happen. It is a fantastic gathering as well to have this occasion happen in honoring and supporting nail salon workers on the campus of OCAD in the context of art. So one of the things that we know is that there has never been any movement for resistance, any revolution without art. Because what art does is it shows us possibility. It shows us what a future could look like. It imagines that place of liberation, and it is good to have OCAD take us up, to take up the Nail Salon Workers Project as a project of its liberation efforts. So thank you deeply. We are here because the nail salon workers have brought us here. And in the moment of strength and resiliency, it is also important to add resistance. So I will call the names of all of the artists that are also nail salon workers. Because while we are here on the campus of OCAD, we also need to situate that nail salon workers and nail salon technicians are also artists. So it is important that we also situate their work in this art space as well. So you have Jenny T. You have Jason, you have Tina, Gina, you have Joanne, you have Jing, you have Lee, you have Lena, you have Alice, you have Karen, you have Grace, you have Anne, you have Mary, you have Van, you have Jenny, you have Emmy, you have CH, you have PP, you have Twan, you have Cindy, you have Yen, and you have Helen. These are the artists and the workers that have brought us here, whose work you're standing in front of. So I ask you to applaud them for their courage in sharing their stories of resistance and resiliency. I also want to say a thank you to Jackie, to Yiman, to Kate, to Anne, the staff who have led this project to fruition. Thank you deeply, thank you deeply. As I said, thank you to the group of workers who have shared their most personal experiences to make visible the lives and the experiences of those that COVID have sought to erase and that many in the public have not talked about. I also think that it's important for us, those of us who are here seeking self-care. In this moment of pandemic, we look to places of self-care, and we look to spas, and we look to nail salons as those spaces of care, our self-care, where we get to rejuvenate and replenish and take care of self. But every time we step into these spaces, we need to remember that there's a worker on the other side. and that when we go for care, we must also consider those who provide care, and to make sure that they're providing care in an environment that is safe, but that they're also remunerated well for the care work that they do for us. So I ask you to take that to every care event that you go to, is to remember that there's a worker behind that caregiving. I thank particularly the creative writing team and the Art for Social Change team here at OCAD for enabling this gathering to happen in this way, and for honoring this as its first in-person event on campus. Thank you deeply. Lastly, I just want to say that it is an absolute pleasure and honor for Parkdale Queen West to have been an organization supporting this work for the time it has been supporting this work. This is over 5 years, over 5 or 6 years now. Over 6 years and counting. And that we do this because we know that there is inequity, there is injustice, there is exploitation in the path of this group of workers, and that all of us who seek to be committed to issues around social justice must be in front of supporting workers who are in places where their employment is precarious. And therefore, we as Parkdale Queen West Community Health Center is proud and honored to be committed to this work. Lastly, I just also want to say that it is our collective business in this pandemic, in this moment of recovery, where people are talking about recovery, is that our recovery must ensure that the return post-COVID is not a return to the inequity conditions and the unequal conditions that we saw pre-COVID that has given rise to the differential impact of COVID on precarious workers, on racialized workers. But that recovery must be one that is more equitable, and that we must commit to that. The other piece that I would say is that we're in the midst of hate. We're in the midst of anti-Asian hate, we're in the midst of anti-Black hate, we're in the midst of anti-Indigenous hate. We're in the midst of hate against LGBTQ folks, we're in the midst of hate against trans folks. And therefore, none of these hates and points of hate are disconnected from each other. And therefore, it is our business to also be in solidarity with Asian communities as we battle and as we confront anti-Asian racism. So I thank you, I thank you, I thank you deeply for coming out, for continually coming out, and for supporting this project. Thank you, thank you.
As many of you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has been especially hard on the personal service industry, and include the people who work in the nail salons. Their salon has been in lockdown for most of the duration of the pandemic, and only recently reopened in July. And in that long period of time without work, some salon owners had to close down their shop completely. And many nail technicians had to look for other jobs. And many people in this sector were not eligible for income support. The Nail Technicians Network was active throughout the pandemic. We were in touch with a number of nail technicians and the salon owners, and decided to ask them to send the pictures that represent what their life has been like during this time, and tell us a bit about it. The pictures you see here are the result of the project. They demonstrate the strength and the resilience of the people who work in the nail salons. We are very proud of the final result. and proud of the people who contributed their photos. And for those who are here today, we thank you. Thank you so much, all the nail technicians. We also want to thank the Atkinson Foundation for their financial contribution to this project. Another reason we are here today is to